Hey, this is Mo Lunsford at Union Grove Lumber Studios.
And this is the Shed Geek. We want to welcome you to today's episode.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek Podcast. Your host, Sam Byler. I'm here with Friday Fun Day version. And like always, we're beating all the rest. I can say that. I can say that because I got all the rest here. I got the boss man on again. I'm doing pretty good here. I'm batting over 500 with you, Shannon, getting you on.
Your YouTube numbers, too, are really, I've noticed they're really good.
That's because haulers like to they like pictures and videos.
It's
just, you follow me. Yeah. I'm trying to help you out here and throw you a bone.
Well, I don't know. I just know that your YouTube numbers are great. So, like, I have to tell you the same thing I told the audience, for the longest time. You're still my most number one listened to podcast out of
and you always sound
nearly
amazed
300.
when you say that.
Well,
why wouldn't he be?
I don't get it. You should know by now.
A lot of people, and I use this analogy all the time. I've never used it on the podcast because a lot of people would be like, I don't know who that is, but there was this really controversial radio personality that came out at one time that you guys may know of called Howard Stern. And they said Howard Stern's numbers were going through the roof. And whenever they came in and said, why is his numbers going through the roof? They said, of the people who love to listen to him, they can't wait to see what he's going to say next. They were like, well, what about the people that don't like him? They can't wait to see what he's going to say next.
Did I just get compared to Howard Stern? Like, that was the most backhanded.
You didn't even see it coming?
No, I saw it. Yeah, I'm getting to where I understand it pretty good. So, it's...
People love to listen to you, whether they love you or not. They love to listen to you.
Yeah, I know. It's whether they love you or not. Love or hate. They're like,
they're watching.
What's coming next? My phone's beeping. So, and I'm also excited because we finally have corralled this guy into doing an episode with us. I know you got a little bit of a chip on your shoulder because it took me to get him to sponsor the Shed Geek after you worked on him for a while.
Maybe I should be addressing that with him. But to be fair,
that might take a while.
To be fair, he doesn't have a chip on his shoulder, but he should from me.
That's what
from a long time ago. But he's been gracious enough not to.
Yeah. So I'm honored to be here with my buddy Jonathan Miller. He's been in I call it the Facebook era. We just celebrated 10 years on our Facebook page.
Oh wow, nice.
August was 10 years of the Shed Hauler page on Facebook. And so that's kind of the current era that I feel like we're in. And Jonathan's always kind of been a part of that. The mules started floating around. I remember when I went back into hauling this time around, mules were a thing, but I wasn't having one. Why would you waste money on something that you didn't need? And, we're talking 2011, 2012, and you guys were already in business, but, far be it from somebody. I mean, that was for somebody who didn't know how to move sheds.
Yeah.
So you've been around. You brought Tyler Schultz on board. He's here with us today. I mean, you go back a little ways, Georgia boy, and I've seen you around, and you were hauling.
Yeah.
So glad to have you guys on today. One of our sponsors, Cardinal Leasing, love to have you guys on board. As Shannon loves to refer to it, took Sam to get you here, but I'm glad you're here.
Whatever it takes.
I never let that on. And especially now that I got referred to as Howard. I mean, that's just like a low blow right there. So I'm gonna milk this thing as long as I can. So I want to know how you got. I don't really know how you got started in sheds. Like, just give me a little background on. Did you grow up in Illinois, and did you come out of school and you're like, man, I'm gonna be the shed guru guy and I'm gonna lease equipment and do that?
So, grew up in Indiana, northern Indiana, then moved down here. My parents moved down here to southern Illinois.
Okay.
In 2001, and that was right at the time when Steve and James Borntrager were starting to build sheds. Cardinal.
Yep.
And so pretty much right out of the gate, they were wanting to build a shop, and so I built a shop with Steve. Steve and I did a partnership deal.
Okay.
and just it was really, I was 21 years old and kind of wanted to do something, and we just moved, so I didn't really have any good job, and so nothing. I mean, it wasn't really any. It was just kind of an opportunity that came along, and then from there, but basically but at that time we were just doing buildings, so we did buildings, and that was all in all honesty, all the time that I was helping and working with Cardinal, which was 10 years. My focus was buildings. It wasn't mules.
Okay.
I mean, I helped over winter. I'd help do stuff. I'd build carriages, do stuff over winter when we were slower. But it wasn't like mules was not really my thing. I was doing buildings, and
that's interesting.
And so it was. But it was through that time. I mean, obviously I was part of, some of those conversations and stuff. But it was. I mean, it wasn't that. Basically, they started. I'm thinking 04 or 05 range, probably. I'm not sure exactly what the when we would have actually done the first one that James would have. I think James pretty much put those together. The first couple in it, we'd put it on a rig, send it out, tear it down,
tear it down, go again.
Yeah. I remember, like, honestly, this sounds really crude, but I do remember, Steve and I, evenings after work, screwing 2x4s together and trying to find the right, hinge points and stuff to get the arms to work.
Oh yeah,
and
to
try to figure out how we could get the linkage to work and make that work. We just do it with 2x4s.
Yeah,
and, it's kind of
so that's the way I fab all my stuff. Everything I fab up in wood first.
Yeah.
Because I can do steel work, but I'm not near as comfortable. Like I fab it out of wood.
Yeah.
To figure out how it works. So then it wasn't until a couple years ago. So I knew Cardinal was born, like the mules were born from necessity, from somebody that had been doing sheds or whatever. But it wasn't until a couple years ago that I realized there was a Cardinal shed company. I had never known that.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about. You guys actually did sheds first.
Yeah, that's what we were doing. Then the mules were just the add-on.
Yeah.
And
Needed a way to move them.
A
way that was more efficient, more effective than.
Well, I mean, they were just smarter than us. We just figured out how to run pipes better and more block and tackles and more cable and.
First time I've ever heard that in my life. They were smarter than us.
No, I mean it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to beat me. I've got the muscle and the brawn. Like I carried LVLs with me on my trailer, because when you couldn't move a building any other way, you just put your shoulder into it and moved it.
But you still had smaller sheds. I've really wondered where the industry would be if that wouldn't have happened. I mean, because
compared
at that time,
to what we're doing,
like at that time, Dirksen was doing 12x30s, 12x32s.
But that was big.
Those were the huge buildings. So we started with that meal, and then we're doing 14 wides, 16 wides, and we were doing stuff like that before anybody else was, because we could get them in.
Yeah. Yep.
And then everybody else, of course, did it. Which just I don't know. I wonder what would have happened. Would we still be doing small sheds?
No, I think
we would have come up with some other way.
the thing, it was always, like right now, we still can't seem to figure out. I had a conversation today. We're here at the Midwest. Is that what it's called? Midwest Barbecue? In Indiana, Southern Indiana, Cliff Demp's deal, which, by the way, was a fantastic day.
Yeah.
They had been calling for rain all week, and it is beautiful here today. I mean, you couldn't.
I feel like there's more rigs here than this is. Year 4, I've done 3 of them, and I felt like this was the most rigs I've seen.
It seems like there's more rigs than ever before. But I don't know. I guess I feel like, it's like we still haven't capped out on size. Where's Vargas? He was here today.
Yeah.
And 20 by 60s are a thing now.
Yeah.
And it seems like we're just constantly battling. And I told Vargas, I said, you're literally the guy in the industry that's going to determine where we stop. Because as long as you keep saying yes, they're just going to keep getting bigger and heavier. There's a couple WKM trailers out here that are massive. And that wasn't what WKM was known for.
No.
They were made, sleek, smooth, fast, light. And now look at those things.
Norman told me they've got one they're working on right now that's got 3 25K axles on it.
3 25K axles.
And it's going to Texas.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's where the last 3 25K axle trailer went.
That's crazy.
So, you've been around. I mean, yeah, you're coming up on 25 years before long in this business. Do you see any end in sight? Like, where are we headed?
I mean, it's a good question but that I think a lot of people have thought about. It's really funny because when I think back 25 years, kind of before I got started, that honestly was a question then: does everybody have a building?
Oh yeah,
Like it's because that was kind of in the earlier days of the sheds out here, in East that had been going for many years.
Yeah. But here, yeah.
But out here, that was there just wasn't a lot going out here, and so I don't see any end in sight at all. I don't think it's not slowing down.
No,
and it won't slow down. As far as, and what I'm saying though is, there are all kinds of economic things and other things that affect us, but the actual industry has adapted and grown a lot, and so if we keep doing what we're doing, the market is going to keep growing, unless everybody runs out of money and out of stuff, and
American people run out of stuff.
Seems unlikely.
It seems unlikely.
Even the way he said it, it's unlikely.
So there's.
But I'm just saying there are countries in this world that wouldn't need sheds because they don't have any money and they don't have any stuff to store.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying in a catastrophic situation, but we'll have many more problems then. But currently, I don't know. I wish I knew better what these numbers were. But I would say if we'd back up 20 years, back when when I was in the shop building buildings, we were doing all these T111 shingle buildings, pushing them out, and probably I would guess it would be safe to say probably only 2 to 5% of the actual population was a customer. It was we sold a lot into mobile home parks and a lot of and just a lot into mid to low end housing areas and stuff. Whereas now everybody's doing stuff and set up beside $1 million house. It's no big deal. Our customer base has grown tremendously.
Yeah.
To where now I don't know what it is right now. I wish I knew. There's probably guys out there that know obviously better than I do, but to where now if you would go into a general given reasonable rural area, your potential customer might be 15% of the people.
Oh yeah,
20%
yeah.
of the people instead of that really small slice that we had.
That
20
you
years
had,
ago.
yeah. Introducing the Challenger, the revolutionary new shed mover that's taking the industry by storm. The Challenger features a touchless design, ensuring it only makes contact at the end of the skids and the bottom of the floor joists, so rest easy knowing your gable walls will remain pristine. Worried about reliability? Fear not, the Challenger is always up for the challenge and will not overturn or scuff your shed. Harness the power of innovative wireless technology. Remotely control the Challenger via your smartphone. No cell service needed. And guess what? The cell phone remote comes standard with every Challenger at no extra cost. Featuring floating forks, a 4-directional tilting mast, and sliding weight transfer, move the shed weight precisely where you need it to get ultimate traction. With self-loading capability, straight onto your truck, say goodbye to the need for a hydraulic carriage. The Challenger makes your job easy and more efficient. Choose from 2 machine sizes, 10,000 pounds and 15,000 pounds. Perfect for any job. Visit www.shedchallenger.com or email us at info@shedchallenger.com or call or text 828-220-3508 for more information. Experience the future of shed moving with the Challenger. I see it even so. Yesterday I was stalking out an area in Tennessee, and basically, drove through the area 5 different directions, and it blows my mind how many people have 2 or 3 sheds sitting in the backyard, and then there's houses that don't have any, and you can tell by the stuff sitting around they should have 1 or 2. You know what I'm saying? So that's our old original storage building customer. But when you said something about, another country that they don't have anything to store it in or they don't have the money, and I'm like, well, if they did like we do here in that situation, you'd live in it.
Yeah. True.
So it never ends.
True. Yeah.
You know, because we all know that it's, you know, there's a market there.
I've had multiple people move into 8x16s that I was setting.
Yeah. 8x16s. I mean, like.
They were moving from out of a tent into an 8x16.
Out of a tent into an 8x16.
I feel like I had a really good joke whenever you said they've got 2 or 3 sheds. I thought, are those with 2 or 3 rent-owned companies too, or are those legal?
Well, see, this is where it gets a little sticky with Jonathan, because it's like, you know, we tend to put him in his equipment leasing box, but he's also in the shed rent-owned business. You know, Tyler here is involved with him because you're on the equipment side. And John's like, I need somebody to handle this so I can, you know, honestly, I think the only reason he needs somebody to handle it is so he can go hunting more, you know,
Yeah.
and you know, it's like, you know, he needs somebody to cover all his bases for him.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I can't talk about him behind his back, but I can talk about him when he's sitting right in front of me, so it works good. So, yeah, Tyler, where do you come from? What's your story in the shed industry?
I'm one of the 2020 crew.
Yeah.
Got in 2020. I started hauling. Well, Sam Sworry got me started. Without Sam Sworry, I would have never been able to get going.
Yep.
And yeah, he helped our family out more than I think he ever realizes. Came to the sheds from dirt work.
Oh, nice.
And did that. Well, I think I ran my first track up 4 years old. So
Yeah.
Equipment's my background. And so I hauled for Premier for a little bit until they're out of Toccoa, Georgia. Mm-hmm. Until I heard that Heritage was opening a shop in my hometown, or not hometown, but where I live in Rennes.
Yep.
And so then the shop switched multiple companies over the last several years. And so I've hauled for multiple companies now out of the same shop.
Out of the same shop.
And then I saw an ad. I'd bought a trailer from WKM or leased it through Cardinal. And had always enjoyed working with Cardinal Leasing. They'd always treated us very well. I was in a wreck. The trailer was, it's a lease. Like, I shouldn't have to stop making lease payments, but they were allowed me to pause lease payments stuff while we were waiting on insurance to settle. And just got back going, saw Jonathan's ad up, and it seemed like with shed hauling, I stayed busy 6 days a week. And seemed like a chance to maybe be with my family a little more.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, Jonathan said something today, somewhere here today, about how, I don't know exactly how he worded it, but I gathered that he's like, the best guy to work for me is a guy that's a proven story to my system.
yeah,
And it's cool because he does have a system, much as some days we wonder what he's doing. You never know with him. It's like hit or miss. But yeah, to see somebody succeed and then be able to come to work for him, I think it's perfect. I think it works great that you can do that.
Well, to go from a client as well.
Yeah, that's
to,
yeah.
like you've got real time experience working with the company, so it's as good a testimony as any.
Yeah, it is, and that's what I was, and hopefully, I'm not much of a speaker, so when I was kind of doing my little deal earlier today, but I really think, and Tyler knows that firsthand experience of some of the conversations we had just while he was working. I mean, and I have a lot of those, and I really enjoy those. How you can help guys get from point A to point B, and then they get on where they don't need me anymore, and they're going.
Not all heroes wear capes, Jonathan. I'm just saying, not all heroes wear capes.
Some wear white shirts.
Some wear white shirts with leasing on it. Yeah. Cardinal leasing. Yeah. But
Yes,
that is there's a feel good part to it that goes beyond like a job. There's like a purpose created, like you're seeing someone's life helped. That's one of my favorite things about the podcast that amazed me, even from the beginning of it, was like listening to these people's stories and hearing them give shout outs to guys like Sam Sworry for being like, hey, you don't know
I love that part.
how much that helped me.
Yep.
And I'm like, guys, that's why it's telling your story is a good thing, because it's like we're building community and like all of that stuff. So like those guys, I don't know. You ever heard that saying, like if somebody's on your mind, give them a text, give them a call, tell them.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like if you're thinking about them and you're like, man, I really appreciate that guy. Hey, it's just like the same thing I have to do with my wife. Whenever we first got married, I'd tell her all the time she looked nice. But now when I think it, I go, why didn't I say that?
Yeah.
I got to tell myself, hey, you need to tell her. She can't read your mind.
Yeah. That's true.
So, you know, it's good to tell those people, reach back out to them and say thanks for what you did. And
Plus, I love when somebody gives a shout out on the podcast, because now I can go get him and I can make him do a podcast.
You need to.
So
He
I've
would
been
be-
working on him. Believe you me, I'll
But-
work on that boy.
I don't know. If I had a hero, it would probably be Sam Swartz.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I mean, he is just straight up good dude. He's a little bit like Jonathan and me in the fact he's. It seems like he's got about a dozen different things that he's trying to pull off all at the same time.
Yeah.
But he does it well. I mean, he keeps plugging away. He's got a lot going on.
I want to touch back, if you're okay with it, on something you guys were talking about earlier. And it kind of goes along with like Cliff's message whenever he spoke today. And he said, hey, how nice is it to set down competition for the day and everybody here get together and talk about things that are for the betterment of our job. And that's what they're doing. And I've said this before, this was full in here, chairs and people. And there's many podcasts happening right there at these tables.
Oh, it's
Podcasts that'll never be recorded.
No,
that are the best conversations that you wish you could capture, and they only happen in the comfort of somewhere like here, where you learn and get comfortable with other people, and it's like you can put that down for the day and come do that, and that goes along with like what you were saying earlier about, are we saturated? Like the walk-in rent-to-rent guys, the you know, the ones they set up like public storage and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Those guys are kicking our butt.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many renters using those spaces that don't have a shed in their backyard where it's convenient, it's safe, it's all these things. So, like, I think we've still got a long way to go before we hit saturation.
Absolutely. Yeah, then those guys are our competition, not the other shed builders around us. I mean, seriously.
hello. Yeah, I mean, it's
Like,
Well, and we heard it in the presidential debate about housing being a problem. I personally believe that it's going towards modular. I believe a lot of the shed companies are going to go towards building modular homes.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've got it. Every area you go into, somebody's working on it, and they're not even remotely close to covering. So a lot of what I see in the modular shed industry is high end stuff. I'm waiting for somebody to pull the what's the affordable housing card on the shed side, because all the shed cabins we're seeing are high end.
Yeah.
Where's the guy that's doing it on the low end? Takes the same codes. I get that, same building codes and all that. But, you know, I'm seeing these cabins, you know, they're starting at 129, 149, and they're going to 300, 400,000. And it's like, wait a minute. Where's the guy that's doing them for 79 to 189? Where's that guy at?
For housing,
Yeah,
as opposed
yeah.
to like a lake house.
Yeah,
that-
because
like-
we haven't even touched that market yet. And it's like, I keep banging it around in my head, you know, like I need something
You can
else
do that
to
in
do.
your spare
yet.
time.
I could do it in my spare time.
like you don't have a lot of projects going right
no,
now.
I don't.
I mean, just kind of in between.
I could pretty happily get rid of about 6 of them right now and do that, but
What gets me is like a lot of guys say, you know, there's no ideas out there, and I'm like, man, this is a perfect idea, in my opinion. There's a couple of guys, like you said, that are modular certified in a couple different states, and you talk to them and you find out what they're doing. But so many people talk to me about, how do you get modular certified? Who can walk me through that path? When we interviewed Mike and Arlen made a great point, because we had his guy on, I can't think of his name right now, who helped that process. You may know him, but he helped get them through that process. And he was talking about how he was so excited about it. I said, man, there's a business idea there for somebody who would teach people how to do that. And Arlen said, well, we got to ask ourselves, are we teachers?
Oh yeah.
And I was like, wow, Arlen's sharp, dude.
Yeah,
That was a great comment.
Arlen understands his limitations.
Yes.
Like what he's good at and what he's not good at.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know that
Some of us just keep chomping off and doing whatever, whether we're good at it. And then we come up with, oh, no, we suck again deal, because it's like, that didn't work out so good.
But
you're exactly right. That is, somebody out there needs to do that because we're definitely headed down that path. I'll tell you something else that runs along with that is the whole container industries is steadily growing into the shed industry. More and more guys, you see it in the trailer manufacturers. They're building trailers that do containers too.
Yep.
And we see it in the hauler page. We see it all across the board on hauling guys that they're doing containers also now.
Yeah.
And then what you see people do with containers is crazy. So the number 5 food court in the United States, I know you guys don't know this, but you want to take a guess at where it's at and what it is? Unlock the power of productivity with Cardinal Leasing. Are you looking to elevate your business operations with top-tier equipment? Look no further than Cardinal Leasing. We offer a wide range of reliable and high-quality equipment tailored to meet your unique needs. Flexible leasing options. Whether you need short-term rentals or long-term solutions, our customizable leasing plans are designed to provide maximum flexibility and affordability. Conventional financing available. Cardinal Leasing also offers great conventional finance options for those of you that prefer that over-lease purchase options. Expert support. Our team of experienced professionals is here to guide you every step of the way, ensuring a seamless leasing experience. Boost efficiency. With our top-of-the-line equipment, you can enhance productivity, reduce downtime, and achieve your business goals faster. Why choose Cardinal Leasing? Competitive rates, exceptional customer service, hassle-free process, quick and easy approvals. Don't let outdated equipment hold you back. Partner with Cardinal Leasing today and take your business to the next level. Contact us now. Visit our website at equipment.cardinalleasing.us or call us at 618-803-4086 to get started.
What do you mean number 5?
Number 5 food court.
Fifth largest? Or?
No, rated best food
rated
court in the U.S.
Gosh, no idea.
It's in Greenville, South Carolina, and it's made up of containers. It's called Gather Greenville, and they put containers in a square, and some of them have 2 of them stacked on top of each other. Some of them have patios on top of the roof of the first one, and then have roofs up on top of that. There's little stairways running everywhere. They have public restrooms set up in one of them, and then
But it's all containers.
It's all containers, and they're all food courts. There's like food trucks inside of the containers in every one of them, and then they have a big area in the middle. That's the hangout area. They bring live music and stuff in, and that place went from nobody to number 6 in a hurry, and now it's creeping its way further up as it goes along. And I look at that, and I'm like, this is in our industry. Like, we have guys that are doing this kind of stuff that, and I love looking at people that take containers and build houses out of them. It's out of the box thinking. We see the same thing in the shed side.
Yeah.
Don't we? Okay. Your Cardinal sheds, you said it. You started out building the typical little sheds. What are you building now? They get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in 1652s, I think.
Yeah,
Pretty much
1652.
52, 54
Yeah.
is kind of where everything's.
And you're not even in Texas.
Yeah, exactly.
It's.
We looked into it fairly heavily at one point. We went and talked to the city zoning, our local city zoning, to try and figure out what all codes we needed to meet, all the IBCs and all that stuff. But then what's local codes? And one of the board members actually was a construction worker, and he loved the idea, and he ended up building a small home. But we definitely ran into the the foundation issue really
Yeah.
quick, because he was like, well, we can build something 1,500 square feet or 1,100 square feet, but can't move it, can't be mobile. So like we went through and tried to learn a lot of that, and I've been impressed by running into some of these tiny home guys and like trying to understand how they manage to become modular certified, and like what's that process look like. One of the questions I've gotten twice in the last month was, do you know an architect? I need some actual engineered drawings. And I'm like, you know what? If I had to, I could not name a name of someone who has brand awareness as a architect in the shed industry. I don't know if you guys can. I can't.
Yeah,
I don't
not
know
in the
who
shed
does
industry.
it. That's
I mean,
like,
from my builder background, I have architects I would go to if I wanted to. But yeah, you're right. That's Expo's coming up. We all like to go there and hang out. It's like, I think you've mentioned, it's like a family reunion.
yeah.
But every year, I'm always looking for what's new.
Right.
There's, and that's actually, I don't know how we got off on that subject, but it's interesting that nobody has really picked up on that yet and took off with it. Now, I do know, building codes runs under an international code that we used to build houses under that works across the U.S. But then each municipality, each county always adds or takes away whatever they feel like they want to do. And they're not, necessarily running off that code. But that's the start. You have to run off of that and then figure out where you go from there. And there's guys doing it.
There is, yeah.
Those guys that are doing it don't want to do it for anybody else. It's like, they figured it out. Well, I mean, like Arlen, he's being smart about it.
Right. Yeah, there's South Carolina, Tennessee, Montana, Idaho. I can name five or six companies off the top of my head that are modular certified, and it's like, and then the question becomes to a small builder, Jonathan, like, I didn't get in to do all of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I got in to build sheds, throw them out in my front yard.
Yep.
I'm drug into this other world, but there are guys who want it and they go chase it. But I don't know. What's your answer to them? Do you need to change with the times? Do you need to, is it okay? They can stay a mom and pop and be perfectly happy. I mean, like Del Beachy was here. Del Beachy's like one of my favorite guys that I've met and interviewed in the industry. Sat in his kitchen, ate ice cream with him.
Yeah.
I mean, just a salt of the earth guy.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And been in it since 1982. His dad done it. He runs one of the most successful small businesses that I've ever seen. And he's like, I'm happy. And I'm tickled
awesome.
for him. I'm like, yeah, he's not trying to move mountains.
Yeah. And
His family's happy.
yeah.
He's happy. And
Huge shout out to him for his support to the Brotherhood that never gets mentioned. He's one of the quiet superstars behind the Brotherhood that nobody even knows that.
And he won an event here today, didn't he?
Oh, well, he placed anyway.
He placed something. Yeah.
He was on stage for.
Yeah.
Oh, with his Mule
With
3.
his Mule 3.
He actually told me when I got here this morning he was hooking back up to his trailer, and he actually kind of apologized because I was looking at his Mule 3, and he's like, I actually bought a 5. He said, but I didn't bring it today. And I'm like, dude, you don't have to apologize to me. I think it's great that you bring it. He said, well, I thought if I'd compete, maybe I should do it with the 3. And then he actually, he was first, second, or third because he was on stage. But
That's awesome.
But he's a good example. But then there's other guys out there that are taking off. I mean, they're doing already 13 million in 3 years, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. But like,
I bet he sleeps easier than they do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know
What do you see him for? Let's get back to a little bit what you're doing today, currently. What are you seeing as far as your clients? Okay, here's a prime example of what I'm asking. In 2019, somebody came and asked you to, help them with a mule and a trailer, and they were looking at $100,000. What are they looking at today?
200.
Yeah, it's easy doubled.
Yeah.
Some of it's even a little more than that.
Yep.
We did 2 rigs. I had 2 rigs that were brought to the Brotherhood. We're always out of money.
Yep.
Like, we don't ever have money. So I'm constantly telling people, no, I'm sorry. You need to talk to Jonathan, And, they came in and $250,000. And I'm sitting there and, man, my brain just like freezes. You know, in 2012, I had to buy a $50,000 pickup truck and I about freaked out.
Yeah.
And these guys, you know, they have legit work. They got the work to keep the rigs paid for, but I can't just pick up a phone and call one of my guys and say, hey, I got a guy, you know, he needs $250,000. And by the way, I got another guy that needs it.
Another $250,000.
You know, and they get done, but it's, how do you, well, maybe Tyler can answer this. He did it. How do you become a success story today when you're looking at that kind of stuff?
I don't know if I became a success story, did I?
Yeah, you did.
Well, to me, it all comes down to a math problem as far as leasing, or are you talking leasing?
Yeah. I mean,
What becomes a math problem? If a 50-foot trailer makes more money than the 36-foot you're currently pulling, maybe you need to grab one more shed a month that 52-foot trailer would do. And that makes your extra payment you're making. And then everything else it's on top. It works the same way as like the guys that rent houses. They aren't buying the houses with cash out their pocket. It's all a cash flow game.
Yeah, it's
and
cash
as long
flow.
as it cash flows. And the great thing with a lease is if it stops cash flowing, well, then it becomes my problem after that.
your problem.
That's Tyler's problem. But what he's saying is right. I've seen it happen so many times. You know, so somebody wants some. You know, guys that you're talking to, they've got they've got $50,000 or whatever. They can borrow 50, 75, whatever. But getting up to that next level, sure, maybe it'll cost them $1,000 a month more, $1,500 a month more. But if they make $5,000 more, hello, why not do it?
Yeah. That's a good point.
Like it's like, again, like exactly what Tyler said. It's a math problem. Figure it out.
Yeah, figure out your math, and then you'll know where you're at.
Figure it out and make sure that you come out ahead.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, if they don't do their math and if they don't win, nobody wins.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. If your clients aren't winning, you're not going to win.
No, not even close.
Yeah. That. What is the? How do I word this? The hauling industry side of it, not the shed industry side of it, but the hauling industry side of it. You're pretty much nationwide. You got clients all over the place. Does it feel as stable as the rest of the industry? Like, do you see a weaker point on part of it than the other point, some other part of it? What's our weakest link?
Driver burnout.
Yeah. Now I wonder how you know about that.
Yeah.
You're preaching to the choir. I agree. It's like, how do we keep these guys? Because it does. They end up with the $250,000 note, and you know they're paying $5,000 a month, and they gotta literally run it 5 days a week
or 6.
Yeah. So this goes along with this, and Shannon might understand where I'm coming from on this. But we grew up with the saying, you got to make hay while the sun shines. In a shed hauler's life, the sun's always shining. We need to get this cleaned up and out of the way, because there are guys that keep saying this week after week, month after month, year after year, and they're still out there slaving away, and they're burning out. And they're not just burning out, they're burning their families out.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think, you know, right along with, again, Tyler hit it on the head, driver burnout. I think you've got too many drivers that don't know what they're doing. Don't know if they know what they're doing. They don't know what they're making.
You said that today.
I mean, that was my. I mean, from a leasing and a financing side, Tyler and I were talking this morning. We're having record months. Like we are crazy busy.
Yep.
And I think I think Tyler's doing a great job with the guys. But there is a side of me that scares me a little bit again. Is so why do we have so many people that don't have enough money? Like
when they're working so much.
When they're working so much, they're working hard. They're working so hard, and it's like I really think just all the inflation stuff and like all the stuff we're dealing with, and I'm not going to get into politics, but just all the stuff we're dealing with and have dealt with over the last 4 years. Pretty much every person that I talk to does not feel like they're getting ahead like they were 5 years ago. That's almost
Fair.
universal.
Okay.
That it just you might be doing good, but doesn't feel like it did. It doesn't feel. It feels like we're working harder, moving more dollars, and just not gaining as much.
What was that?
You heard that too? Sam, what was that?
Oh, that wasn't supposed to come out.
What
Well,
is
what
it,
was it?
Sam?
I was given some confidential information. Not sure what I'm supposed to do now that you heard that, though.
Well, what was it?
Sam, you got to tell us.
Well, you can't tell anyone. But the Cardinal engineers, the mule guys, have been at it again. They heard all the haulers belly aching about a bigger machine. You know how they're always fussing about it ain't big enough? Well,
Oh,
guess
yeah.
what? They've got a bigger mule, a lot bigger.
What?
How about a mule with a 70 horsepower diesel engine that's built to move 40,000 pound sheds? You ought to see it. It's a real beast of a mule, and it's up to any shed challenge.
No
Right.
way, Sam. A diesel donkey like you had? I mean, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
That's
Yep,
great.
the diesel donkey like I used to have. Hey, there's a lot more stuff coming, but I've said enough. I'll get in trouble soon if I say any more.
So politics aside, because that I understand that affects us. I get it. And I know that we're in a highly politicized year and moment specifically.
Yeah. Well, we all. Yeah.
So like that always makes it seem, at least from the national politics, a little bit more. But if you put that aside, not ignoring it, is it the I don't know what I'm trying to say, like the glamour of owning a business? Like, most people don't realize, when we grew up, it was always like, this guy owned a business and you saw the tip of the iceberg,
Yeah.
but you did not see the 50 years
Yeah.
previously that he was an old established guy in the community. And the thought was immediately like, I want to do what he does.
Yep.
I want to drive that new car that he's got. And it's like, but I'm going to take the shortcut there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take the grinding it out for years and years and years, because we only see the success.
Yeah.
And then we want that. And we almost feel entitled, as though we deserve it without going through. It's like the same thing I tell my son. I'm like, trust me, we grew up poor, and then we grew into having enough wealth, me and my family, and then we made bad choices because we didn't change behaviors.
Oh,
And we ended
so
up
true.
right back into the same mess that I grew up in.
If you ever read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Yeah.
like that is like this sounds. Yeah, I mean, we can cut this out if you want to, but it's like my
Here's
grandpa,
our first moment, Troy.
my grandma always used to say, like, poor people have poor ways.
Oh, that's so true.
And it's not how much money they make; it's how they think about it and process it.
That's-
If you give somebody $100 and they think, okay, I'm going to start selling lemonade or something. I'm going to start doing some.
Man, you're on one
and-
now.
And, and you give somebody $100 and they immediately go buy a new pair of shoes.
Yes.
They're going to be junk. in a year from now.
Conspicuous
Wait a minute, I can get
consumption.
paid to run.
Yeah. you
You
can't
know.
run, Sam. No.
I remember.
But it's like back into the back of, like, it's a mind deal.
It is. Yeah.
That some people, some children, you see it in children. It makes a big difference how they're raised, but you see it in children already. Of, you give them an opportunity, and they, what can I do to go somewhere with this, or how can I spend it? And what you said, Shannon, is so spot on. There's so many people that actually you can start getting somewhere unless you change how you
behavior,
think,
yeah.
you go right back down.
Yeah, we did that, and then it took us a long time to climb out of it. I remember the small time I did spend in college, we had to write an article called Conspicuous Consumption, and it talked about, like, in the inner cities and the urban cities, how it was more important to be viewed with a pair of Jordans than a full belly. Because, like, socially, I was not accepted as much if I didn't have a nice, cool new pair of J's, but I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Should have used that money more wisely. It's the same thing I tell my son every day. I'm like, I promise you, this will always be true. You will never gain as long as you spend more in the month than you earn.
Yep.
It's a basic math principle.
It's back to what he said. It's a math problem.
It's discipline.
Yeah.
You cannot spend more than you earn and be complaining about why things aren't working out. You just can't. It sounds like we're probably really coming down on guys right now, right? But I mean, it's also the
it
truth.
bothers me. It bothers me when I see that. It bothers me when I see like there's nothing like more rewarding than working with a bunch of people that are getting ahead and being successful.
Yes.
And so when you see people struggling, you want to help them. You want to see people gain in life. And so I think it's a deal. Like I know Tyler and I have talked about this. Like man, maybe we should just do it. Is about doing more educational like Facebook posts and stuff. Of I actually had a bit more of a one of the speech deal today that I had. I was going to do a little bit more and said, you know what, I'm not going to stand up there and do a bunch of numbers stuff. Mm-hmm. It's I'm not good at doing stuff like that anyhow, but especially doing it just off the top kind of is it doesn't really work. But how could we help educate people better, and to where they know where they're at, they're gaining and succeeding?
Great question. Well, it starts with coming together and being willing to work together, collaborating, things like this, coming together, not having to be across the aisle. I think I used the analogy earlier. I said, we're all me, you, and Dennis Fisher was.
Oh, yeah.
Sitting here talking, and you had basically 3 different RTOs represented there. I was like, we're not in gangs.
Don't count Dennis.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll listen to this.
I bet you if he does, he's sweating right now. I'm getting another call. I know it. I just know it. But it's like we're not in gangs.
Yeah.
Like for the betterment of everyone, we don't have to not like each other, but what is going to be better for the people in the industry? And I think if you have a heart for that, it shows.
Yeah.
And
most of us do.
Yeah.
Like the vast majority of the industry does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's not 100%, but
it's not 100%, but it's like everything else. It seems like the 10% always screams the loudest.
Yeah, those are the ones that are doing the crazy Facebook posts and stuff.
But as long as
you have to babysit for, but
as long as you keep recognizing the 90%,
yeah,
it still comes back around.
Do you guys feel? Someone asked me this. Like, do you feel like we need you got the NBSRA in the RTO space, and we've got some really cool representation. You know what I mean for the industry. But is there anything trade related for our industry, or am I just missing it and it's there and I totally missed out, or is there a space for someone to create sort of like a trade organization of some kind? And we've got the expo, we've got, they do a great job with the magazine, we've got publications and stuff like that. But is there like I don't know, is it needed also so that it could be organized? And the hardest part is it's going to have to struggle through like the 13 years the NBSRA has, right? Of like trying to become a impartial and fair and all of that stuff. But that's okay. It's got to start somewhere. But is that needed? I don't know. I'm thinking off the cuff here, but someone asked me, and they was like, there's so many like trade organizations. There's like an actual organization that represents the industry in so many of them, but it seems like the shed industry hasn't gotten that yet. And I'm like, I don't know.
That's an interesting point.
Maybe. Yeah. Who would organize it? How would it happen?
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
You're basically saying over the whole shed industry part of it.
Yeah, like the NBSRA was an excellent idea to be able to like represent the RTO side.
Yeah, yeah.
It just there's a lot of years of like you got to work it out, and like how does it stay impartial and all of these different things. Like same for the shed industry. I mean, like it just seems like no one wants more regulation.
Yeah.
Well, we're regulated to death already.
But if you could get, and I feel like if we can pick on the NBSRA for a bit, I mean, I've been going the last 4 or 5 years, and I know the first couple times I showed up, I thought it was I wasn't sure if I got a whole lot out of it or not. I wasn't sure. I'll be honest, I've always enjoyed it, but I wasn't quite sure if it was in my league or not. If it was really worth.
Yep.
And but I feel like that's really freshened up a lot over the last couple of years, especially, of just more teaching, more training, more and more, or maybe it's me that's changed. I'm not sure, but I feel on my end, I feel like I'm excited to be going this year again.
Yeah.
And I happen to be I was actually helped him with the planning this year, and but it's fun. We've got a lot of really cool stuff, like really interesting things, really interesting topics and speakers and stuff that are bringing value to it. And then jumping back then to what you're saying is it wouldn't have to be a regulatory body, but what can be done to help different companies to come together and learn from each other things that I mean,
for the betterment of the industry, and not just to promote one particular agenda or one business.
Oh, exactly.
We find it. I'm gonna do a plug here, so just hands down admitting it straight out, but I'm using it as an analogy. We use a consultative based selling approach in our marketing. I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but and this is the moment that I caught it. We had a guy sign up to do a website, and right before we got ready to hang up, he said, "Oh, by the way, make sure that website shows up first on Google."
He said, "No problem."
And I was
I'll
like,
click
no
that.
problem.
I'll
We'll just
select
click
that
the
button.
button.
And it'll
So
be-
immediately what happened in my mind, because it's like you can choose to be offended and be like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about," or you can insult him, make him feel worse, or you can say, "I recognize the opportunity for education here." He has no idea because he's a shed builder. Guess what? If he put me out there building sheds, he could make me feel foolish because I would really make some big time mistakes. And in my mind, I'd be like, "That's simple. Just do that." And he'd be like, "Whoa, that's a $30,000 piece of equipment needed to do that. You're way out of your league here." And you're like, "Oh, okay. So explain it to me." And that's what we did. We took the time, and that's what we try to do now. Maybe that's what it is in this know your numbers kind of mentality. It's like, a CPA is needed, or someone needs to sit and explain this to you. One of my favorite examples is like, "Oh, I want to make $100,000 a year, but I make $25,000 a year now." It would be irresponsible for you to make $100,000 the next year because you would not know what to do with the surplus. It's not the destination; it's the journey. You need a year of making 40, a year of making 60, a year of making 80, and then get to your 100 so that you don't make massive mistakes with your money. And that's what we try to explain, again, in marketing. Shameless plug. Like, "Oh, I need all of these things." No, you don't need to spend $25,000 right off the bat. You need to spend 10, and then you need to get here. And then you need to spend more. And it's probably the same way in equipment. I would only assume. Like, why do you need maybe 200 is the baseline?
The baseline has gone up, but you can definitely still do it for less. That's the part of the bashes and the barbecues that are hard to overcome, is the fact that a new guy shows up, he sees all the cool stuff, and he thinks he has to have
I gotta get
It's
it tomorrow.
intimidating. They don't even want to bring their rig.
Yeah, they don't want to bring their rig, but the guy that's even looking at getting a rig, he's like, "I got to have that. I got to have this and I got to have that." So that's why when they call me and they ask me, I'm like, "Why do you need it? What's going on? What's your picture or whatever? Why do you have to have all this stuff?" And of course, it's not very good for them to have to deal with me because I'm the guy that still hauls the OVLs around and pushes barns around when he needs to. But that wears you out just as much as the stress of the money does.
Oh, for sure.
And here's the thing. I went through a stretch there where it seemed like every day we were moving 7 to 11 barns every day. Well, I don't, even if I could do that today, I don't need to. I don't have to move that many barns today to make it work. So that's back to what I was talking about, making hay while the sun shines. You have to know your limitations or you're going to go through burnout. You have to know where to draw the line as to how much do I have to get done today to live to fight another day, to live to fight another. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's otherwise, we see it a lot. There's here's another bad thing about this industry. We always see the guys getting in it. We never see the guys sneaking out the back door, unless they're a Josh Stover or somebody like that. And they do it 4 or 5 times, and we see them coming and going. But they're. Thank y'all for listening to today's episode. This was part 1 of a 2-part episode. So be sure to listen next week to finish today's podcast.
Hey, this is Mo Lunsford in sunny Union Grove, North Carolina, and we want to say thank you to all the guests and listeners.